Hey, seventh graders, we're skipping ahead. We are not doing 7-5, we're focusing on 7-6, which is writing and solving two-step inequalities. So this is going to be just like what we were doing, but with two steps, which is just like the two-step algebra problems, the linear equations you were doing, but with inequalities instead of an equal sign. Starts on page 373. We're going to go over to page 374 though. And over here, it says solve negative 5x is minusing 12, which is less than or equal to 8. So you set it up just like a regular linear equation. You have to isolate the variable. So first you take any numbers that are not attached to a variable. So it's a minus 12, so you do the inverse, plus 12 on each side of the inequality symbol, okay? Same thing like we do with an equal sign. This will cancel each other out. Negative 12 plus 12 is 0, leaving a negative 5x is less than or equal to. And then what's 8 plus 12? It's 20. All right, so now we're on to just what we were doing the last couple lessons. It's a negative 5x. That means it's multiplication, so we do the opposite, the inverse, and that's divide. You have to do it on both sides. This will cancel each other out, leaving x is greater than or equal to, and then a positive divided by a negative is a negative, okay? When one of them is negative, but the other isn't, it's a negative. So 20 divided by 5 is 4, so it's x is greater than or equal to negative 4. If you're interested in going back and checking your work, how do we graph it again? You should be getting pretty good at this by now. Negative 4, we fill it in, and it goes to the right. And it tells you. Over here, let's try it. Okay, so they wrote it right here, so I'm just going to follow along. Which one do we start with? This? No, because we have to isolate the variable, and this one has two steps in it. So we need to get rid of this guy, get him over here first, so we can isolate that variable. This is a minus, so we plus 4 on each side, okay? This will cancel each other out. Negative 4 plus 4 is 0. So you're left with negative 6x is greater than, what's 14 plus 4? 18. Okay. Now what do? This is a multiplication problem, 6x, so we divide. We do the opposite. Divide by, don't forget the negative sign. Negative 6 divided by negative 6. This will cancel each other out, leaving just x is greater than, and then 18 divided by a negative 6 will be a negative 3. Good job. All right, negative 3 is there. We leave it open, and it goes to the right. Okay, so it's just like algebra, but with an inequality. Over here, all the ones that show decimals, feel free to use a calculator to do the problems. You can't set it up like that in a calculator, but to do the, the adding or subtracting if you want. Over here, like this could be tricky. It'll take you a long time. Feel free to use that calculator, okay? I'm going to skip ahead here. Oh, the pages are sticking. There we go. Same with the fractions. They look really awful, but they're not. Well, yeah, they are. Sorry. You can skip this part if you want. So any of the ones on the practice problems online that are too hard, just skip. Please just do the whole numbers. Any of the whole numbers on the practice test or the practice worksheets online. Okay, but to do this one, it's the same thing. You're going to plus that half on each side. Notice they made it an equivalent fraction, so it would match with the 8 there. So they just doubled this up, and then this would cancel each other out. Keeps the 3/4 x is greater than that. So now you divide by that on each side, which the division is multiplication with a reciprocal, which is why you'll see that 4 on top of the 3. Okay, so this will cancel each other out there. See, this is actually fractions show it really well. See, because you cross simplify, all you're left with is 1 and 1. So 1x, that's it. How do we do this? 7/8 divided by 3/4, you end up multiplying it. Remember that dot's multiplication symbol by the reciprocal. So how do you reciprocal 3/4. You flip the 4 on top and the 3 on the bottom. You can't cross simplify this, but you can cross simplify these guys. Goes into itself once, goes into 8 twice. 2 times 3 is 6. 7 times 1 is 7. It's improper. So how many times does 6 go into 7? Once. How many left over? 6 times 1 is 6. So one more hop gets us to 7. So there's 1 left over. And the denominator stays the same. Okay? But if you do not feel comfortable doing that, please do not worry about it then on your online ones. You can try the decimals because you can utilize the calculator, but you don't need to feel like you have to. So if this was your online practice, I would just expect you to do 2 problems, okay? Why beat a dead horse? If you can get any of the problems right that are whole numbers, you're good, okay? If you get them wrong, that's when we have an issue. So take your time on them and make sure you're getting them right, okay? If you want to go on and do a few more of the others, cool, but you don't need to feel obligated. How do we do this over here? So you're going to isolate the variable. First, we got to get rid of this guy here, okay? This cancels each other out, leaving negative 3x, okay, is greater than. And then 12 minus 3 is 9, okay? Now we have to divide by negative 3. Do not forget that negative. It'll totally be wrong then. Cancels each other out. 9 divided by a negative 3 is going to be a negative, because only one of them are negative, a negative 3. So here's our negative 3. We do not fill in the circle. It goes to the right. A lot of ours have been going to the right lately. What's up with that? Over here. Now the x is on the other side. You work the problem the same way, and at the end, flip it. So we got to get rid of this 8, see? Because if we brought this 4 over here, everything would be on one side. We can't have that. If we move that 4x, well, that's our variable that we need to isolate and get alone. So we can't move that. So we move the 8 here, minus 8. Okay, that cancels each other out, leaving you with 4x, and then it's greater than or equal to negative 4 minus 8. So you spent 4, then you spend 8 more dollars. How many dollars came out total? Negative 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, we're not done. We still have to isolate the variable more. This is multiplication, so we divide by the 4 on each side. That cancels. And now we have negative divided by a positive, so the answer will be negative. 12 divided by 4 is 3. So it's negative 3. Okay, but remember we have to flip the x around, so it's really x, and then the arrow is facing away from the x. See how it's pointing toward the 3? So now it's pointing toward the 3. We find our negative 3, fill in the circle because of the line underneath, and there we go. Okay, good luck with that. If you want to give these other ones a whirl on the online practice, feel free. Otherwise, just focus on carefully getting the whole numbers done and correct. Good luck.